Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Invin. Today I am bringing you guys a beginner's guide or a starting guide for New World. New World is a brand new MMO which has just been released by Amazon Game Studios into closed beta yesterday at the time of recording, and this game is absolutely fantastic. It's an open world, crafting, battling with lots of PvP elements, lots of PvE elements, a few questing, factions, and all sorts of different stuff, and it can be quite confusing off the start. So this guide is aiming to bring you guys up to speed with what you should be doing off the start of the game for those of you that are either new players or returning to the game after a long break like myself. Now there is tons and tons of options of things to do in New World, but one of the main things you're going to want to do off the start is to actually level up, and the best way to do this is to start by doing all of the intro quests. You have an unskippable basic tutorial where it teaches you the movement and combat mechanics of the game, and then without spoilers adding too much to the game, you then get into the main part of the game where you can go ahead and complete initial quests in an area. This will be going and killing things, going and collecting things, and loosely doing things that will be replicated for the rest of your time playing New World, just on a slightly different scale. These quests will show you how to play it efficiently and what you need to be doing in order to progress in the world, as well as give you access to tools which you will need to start collecting different resources around the map and allow you to get a sense for the game. They will also teach you how to pick up and complete quests going forward, as there are several different types of quests which we'll get into later in the video, and this intro tutorial section of the game allows you to then understand how you're going to do these going forward. Now when you complete objectives or get kills in an area, you will earn XP for your overall player level as well as standing for the area that you are in. If you open up your map, which is default bound to the button M, you can go ahead and have a look at the areas that there are. For example, Windswood, Everfall, and you can go ahead and hover over these areas and it will give you a border of where their radius goes to. This entire area, once inside this, will all count towards points for standing gain in that particular area. So for example, if you complete quests in Windswood, you will get standing points for it. If you kill enemies in Windswood, you will get standing points for it, and if you gather things in Windswood, you will get standing points for it. All of these go towards a overall level for the area as well as your player level, and obviously combat will then level up your weapon of choice as well, which again we will get into a little bit more later on. When you do actually level up your territory standing with that particular territory, it gives you a choice of 3 different things that you can select. Now the best ones to go for here, obviously early on, are XP. Storage is a really good option because it allows you to store more things in your bank. Each different territory has a different storage shed system, so it shares it between each one in that town, but the towns do not transfer items. You will have to store things separately or transfer them across if you do want to. Another really good attribute to get from this is the standing gain, and this seems fairly weird to get as it increases your level faster for the territory standing, but the reason for that is that obviously you can then get more perks quickly, but on top of that, each time you level up your territory standing level with a particular area, you do gain extra XP, and the higher up the levels go, the more XP you will get, so it will allow you to level up quicker whilst you're farming mobs and completing quests in other areas of that territory. A very useful thing to do is have one area as your base location where you can focus on things like getting your storage up and getting maybe some crafting things down, gathering speed up, things like that, depending on how you want to play the game. Obviously increase XP if you want to, but in other areas where you're just going to be going ahead and doing quests, it's just better to focus on XP and standing gain rewards where possible, as this will allow you to progress the absolute fastest way. Now moving on just to how to be efficient when you are doing quests. When you get faction quests or town board quests, a lot of the town board quests will be things that you can do as you are going along in the game, such as hunting down rabbits or boars, or picking up certain materials such as wood, green wood, stone bricks, all that kind of good stuff. Stone bricks and lumber being the refined versions of wood and stone, so you can go ahead and collect the raw materials, bring them into town and refine them at the crafting stations, and that will obviously increase your gathering. Once you gather the raw materials, it will increase your refining skill, so smelting, wood cutting, stone cutting, whatever it is, into that actual material, and then you can go ahead and turn those in for a quest as well. Some of them will just be for the raw materials though, some of them will be for 300 green wood, for example, which will just be the raw wood you get from chopping down trees or collecting bushes. Now a really good way to level up your gathering is by doing these quests, because it will allow you to get town points, gold, XP, and obviously level up your gathering skill at the same time, which is really, really nice. When you're going on kill quests or collection quests, if you can get a group of them that are in the same area, this is really, really efficient, as it allows you to go to one area of the map, as you do have to walk to a lot of the places in this game. You can collect all of your quests together, complete all of them in one area, and then head back to town. Now this is really, really good if you are out and about in the world, because sometimes you can have to walk up to 1 kilometer away, maybe even more sometimes, to be able to get to these quest locations. So if all of your quests are then in the same spot, you are able to then just go ahead and complete them all in one swift swoop. Now, one thing to note here is that you can actually go into your escape menu, into the game's menu, click on game menu, and click respawn once you've completed the quests, and you choose the nearest settlement. That will take you back then to the territory or the settlement that you are nearby, and you can just hand in the quest straight away. But do not do this if you are doing PvP quests. As you will see on screen, if you do it once you've got PvP quests complete, it does in fact say PvP quests failed. I did the pain of showing you guys this after completing them, just so that you can see that it definitely does not work under any circumstances. So do not try it, because you will miss out on a ton of gold, a ton of XP, and a ton of territory standing as well. Another thing to note is that when you do use the respawn option, it will take it as a regular death, and this means that the durability of the items you have equipped is lowered. Now, this isn't much of a problem in the early game, because you will be swapping out a lot of gear very quickly, and you also have the ability to just remake most of the gear that you have equipped. But once you do start getting up to level 20 and 30 plus, this starts to become more of a problem, because you're keeping the gear for a longer amount of time, and you will need to repair it. Now, one of the ways to get repair items is to obviously salvage older weapons, older tools, older gear, any armors that you have that are spare, salvage them, and this will give you repair parts as well as some materials. Repair parts can be found at the bottom of your inventory next to the gold and Azoth counter, and these can be used to repair items going forward, so you are able to continue using them for a longer amount of time. And obviously, if you do use the respawn method, you can just go ahead and repair any different items that may have got damaged if you need to going along there. Another thing to note about gathering and collecting skills is that when you hit a certain milestone, certain resources from the related skill will then become trackable or seeable on the map. In other words, when you get to a certain level, so for example level 50 in tracking and hunting, you are then able to see turkeys and rabbits on the map, and you can see them as you are going around the world. You will see them pop up very, very visibly comparatively to when you don't have this skill unlocked. It is very, very useful, and as you level up your gathering skills going across, you will see that this is one of the most essential things, that once you do unlock it, you'll be rushing to unlock it when the game does fully release as well. And if you're watching this at full release, as soon as you've unlocked that, you'll see how good it actually is. It's a very, very powerful tool, and it can be used for mining, gathering. Every single different type of skill has its own version, and as you level it up further, the higher level resources then become tracked, so that you can eventually see where most of the things are on the map, which is really, really useful. Weapons in New World actually each have their own system, and this means that you can go ahead and use pretty much any weapon you want at any point, providing that you are happy to level it up. Each weapon starts at level 0, and then you go and level up the mastery for that weapon, which then unlocks new skills. These can be passive or active skills, and you get a certain amount of points per weapon, which you can put into the skill trees related to them. You get XP for your weapon by using it obviously to kill mobs and enemies, and indeed other players if you've got PvP active, and this will level up gradually your weapon, and you will see the mastery for that weapon increase. Once you do actually gain a level, it will tell you on screen. You can go ahead and press default bind K to open up the mastery menu, and then select a new active skill or passive skill that you want to unlock, confirm the point, and this will give you access to the brand new skill or passive that you have just decided to unlock. This is really cool, as it does allow you to try out lots of different methods, and it means that when the game is fully released, you can eventually max out every single weapon in the game, so that you can switch between them as well freely, which is a really nice addition. Now, once you've left the first starting area and you've been sent to the town, you kind of follow the main story along. You will get to a certain point where it is required of you to get leveled up in order to continue questing, and the main way to do this is through faction quests, so either Covenant, Syndicate, or Marauder, depending which one you chose. These faction masters will be able to give you certain quests. The bottom row is PvP enabled quests, which means as soon as you accept one of these, you will become PvP flagged. So remember, if you do go outside the settlement with this on and you see enemy faction players, they can attack you, and vice versa, you can attack them. So just bear that in mind if you are planning to do all 6 quests at once. If you've got the PvP ones activated, you will be flagged for PvP during this time. Another thing is town quests, where they will often ask you for resources like I mentioned before, and these are fairly easy to complete and often give you a decent amount of gold. And depending if your town is owned by a company, they can be progressing towards upgrading buildings and workstations, and this will be town company quests, and these are also on the town board, and these are also really good ones for getting yourself some money and XP as well as town standing. And obviously, if it is your own company or an allied company or indeed an enemy company in the hometown you have chosen, then you can go ahead and help them level up these buildings, and this will give you access to higher level crafting as you progress through the game's systems. Now, one thing a lot of new players need to know about is building a camp. You can actually build a camp once you've progressed past the first tutorial sections of the game, anywhere in the wild outside. The default bind for this camp is Y, and you can go ahead and place down a camp anywhere in the wild, which allows you to craft basic tools and rations. weapons, for food, etc. And it also allows you to have a mobile respawn beacon. This is absolutely essential when you are out questing a long way away from a settlement, as if you do manage to die whilst you're doing these quests, this will allow you to respawn nearby where the objective is, providing that you've placed a camp down. It can also be used to fast travel around, so that if you are going further afield and want to come back to a certain area, every time you die you will have the option to come back to that camp, providing you haven't logged out the game in between, because that does destroy it. And this will allow you to essentially free fast travel between those areas, but it does again require you to die, and you will lose durability on your items like you do with the respawn traveling method. Now in New World Beta they have added a fast travel system, and this is possible via things called fast travel shrines. Now they are available in each major settlement as well as jotted throughout the world, so you will have to find them. Once you find them, go over to them, stand in the radius of it and activate it, and this will actually unlock it onto the map for you. Once you've unlocked it onto the map, once you have stood at any fast travel shrine on the map, you can continue to travel between them for a certain amount of Azoth. You cannot, however, fast travel to a settlement or any other fast travel shrine from anywhere on the map. You must be at another shrine in order for this fast travel to work. Now, like I mentioned there, this does cost Azoth. Azoth can be found throughout the world once you're killing mobs and looting, but it can also be found from portals, which is something that you will get onto later in the game through the storyline and quests. I'm not going to spoil it for you guys, but it's a ton of fun, and you can get a ton of Azoth very easily later on in the game. So although it seems quite expensive at the start, do not worry, this does become a lot more affordable and reasonable the later on into the game you get. One thing to note off the start though is the more weight that your character is holding, the higher the cost of the fast travel. So if you are struggling for Azoth off the start and you don't want to waste any by fast traveling unnecessarily, make sure that you bank all of your items at the nearest settlement before fast traveling, as this will reduce the cost significantly. Gear and weapons in New World come in different rarities, starting from grey, going to green, blue, purple, and eventually gold, and each colour signifies its rarity, gold being the most rare and grey being the common pickups that you get. The higher rarity an item has, the more bonus stats and gem slots it will have available, and essentially this can give you stat boosts to each of the different stats available in the game. Now, depending on what weapon and class that you are choosing to run, you can go ahead and prioritise certain stats, and certain armors and weapons will give you bonuses to those stats, which will make you want to run them. Again, this is something you can focus on in later game, but if you pick up any green items, you might see a +3 to Constitution, for example, and that will therefore increase your overall HP whilst you have got this item equipped. Also, like I mentioned there, they can come with gem slots. Gems are something which you can start to get in the game. You can either craft them from when you are mining and get some given to you, or obviously you can find them from looting or buying them from the marketplace, and gems are again something which can increase stats or increase abilities. Now, as well as this, some armor pieces, when they get to uncommon or above, so the green rarity or above, can come with certain boosts to certain abilities on them. This means it can be things like ability cooldown reduction across the board, which can apply to any and all abilities, or it can be certain things like a certain attack from a weapon type, which that item or armor affects directly, which can be really good for if you are using that weapon, or you can sell it for a decent price to somebody that is using that weapon, particularly once you get higher up into those levels and it's higher tier armor. Now, as well as the rarity, like I mentioned there is different tiers of armor, and the different tiers are unlocked based upon what level your overall character is. To get tier 2, which is generally the starting gear after you get past the tier 1, which is a tutorial gear, you need to be between level 1 and 19. Once you do hit level 20 to 39, that is for tier 3 armor and weapons. Tier 4 is 40 to level 59, and then level 60 plus is access to tier 5, which is the best tier in the game, allows for the fastest gathering, fastest resource collection, obviously most damage on weapons, and most damage reduction from armors, and obviously you get a higher chance of getting higher rarity items on there that are going to increase your stats the most possible in the game. Refining and crafting is another huge part of New World, and this leads nicely on from the gear and weapons we've just talked about. Again, once you level up your crafting skills, you will have a higher chance to craft better and higher tier items and weapons, with a chance of being a more uncommon, rare, or legendary weapon as you go on. Azoth is another thing that can be used in crafting to make crafts better, but generally you can make tools, armor, and weapons, and higher your crafting level and skills, the more chance you have at getting a higher rarity item from a craft, which is really nice, and it's something that you're going to want to work on towards the mid to late game of playing New World. Now, another really crucial thing off the start of the game is bags. Bags will allow you to hold more things in your inventory, and if you've played for more than about an hour, you will know that this is is something major that you do need to have. Craft these as soon as you can for the extra carry space, and one really important thing to note is your faction master will actually sell you a stone of holding for faction points. It costs 1,000 faction points, and when you do buy this, you can equip it onto your bag, and it does increase your holding amount even further just on a regular tier 1 bag, and then you can increase this tier of bag once you level up as well, and obviously this will then increase the holding that that item has. So really good addition. It can get you a lot more holding straight off the bat, which is sometimes very useful when you are out trying to craft and level up, as well as gather a ton of things and loot and all the rest of the stuff that you do in New World. Now, this is some of the most essential tips that I've given you guys today, but there is tons and tons more stuff, as well as the best ways to level and all that kind of stuff. So if you would like to see a future video of me covering all of those different aspects of the game, then make sure you leave a like on this video and drop me a message in the comments down below letting me know what you thought of today's video. And if there's any questions you've got, drop them down below too. Other than that, if you have enjoyed today's video, please do make sure that you subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be posting tons more New World content, and it would be great to have you here as part of the channel community. Other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching. Take care and peace.